very difficult remotely. It's not impossible, but it's difficult, and most people don't know how to do it. And so much of your training and mentoring was osmotic, I guess. Like it was just I'm surrounded. What do you do when a new like I was the guy who did seating when we were all in office, right? Where do I put a junior engineer? I don't put all my junior engineers together. I put my junior engineer between a mid and a senior, and I tell the mid, hey, your job is to make sure the junior succeeds, and the senior's there as like oversight and like. I'm trying to set you up to have people who can put eyes on your stuff. And I recognize that's a little bit of a tax on both of them. But that's okay because they're developing some of their leadership and collaboration capability, and you're developing now as a better engineer. And there's like a win all around. And suddenly in a remote world, it's like, whoa, like this sort of proximity-based system falls apart. And again, I don't think it's impossible, but I understood in a short-term frame why so many people were just like, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hire seniors. And not only am I going to hire only seniors, I'm going to hire only seniors who have experience building in the engine and genre I am already in. And especially once layoffs started happening, like before layoffs, they just started paying unreal sums of money to those people. But once the layoffs started happening, it was just, oh, now I get to pick. So yeah, my engine, my genre, you need to have 5 years of experience or whatever. And like, if you haven't done the exact matchmaking tool I'm trying to build in the game, I'm not interested. And they could find that person. And so it was this huge shift in terms of like how people were thinking about this. I think, again, that was another variable in this. Do you see other factors impacting that right now? Like other things that are causing that failure to develop the fishery?
I think too there's an issue now is that we have a generation of senior engineers who don't know how to do what you just described. Even if you had them in an office and you sat a junior engineer next to them, would they be adequately prepared to mentor?
Oh man, I
Because
hadn't even
it's
thought
not
about
an
that.
easy thing, right?
Yeah,
Like helping someone understand things without just telling them the answer, but really like bringing someone up in an environment where they can be effective, transforming them into that 10x engineer, learning best practices. Now you have an even smaller pool. You have senior engineers who have those capabilities and those leadership capabilities and who want to do it, right? But you're not letting them learn how to do that either. And so even if we started tomorrow and we said, okay, we're going to bring back all of our mentorship programs, we'd have to find super senior engineers to mentor the senior engineers so that they knew how to mentor the junior engineers
right.
because we have a generation of engineers who never had to mentor anybody. And we'll eventually have a generation of engineers who were never mentored themselves by anyone other than ChatGPT. And
That's
like
kind of
that's a crazy
terrifying.
thought too.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought about that other perspective, and that's so true that just trying to level someone else is its own skill set. That
Mm-hmm.
again, you kind of 10 years ago when I was at Wright, like I just took for granted. Like I
Yeah.
could, and there was always like, maybe there was a crotchety engineer who was like, that's not a mentoring engineer, but like most that was a ding in some sense
Mm-hmm.
in terms of performance, like, performance evaluation, stuff like that. You wanted the senior engineers to be able to very easily step into roles of being able to help someone along. And yeah, I just hadn't thought about like we've gone now through about 5 years
Mm-hmm.
of that not really being an expectation.
Yep. I think we see this when I think about COVID, the big conversation now is we talk about children who were in school during COVID, right? And
Hmm.
like their math and their reading scores and things that we're realizing now upon reflection were harmed. And I'm not a proponent of being in the office. Let me be extraordinarily clear. I'm in
Hmm.
my office right now. This is my house. I
Hmm.
love
Hmm.
this. But there is there are just inarguable damages that were caused by bringing kids home from school. And I think we're probably going to see something similar in the work environment where there will be a time where we look back and we say, wow, we have a generation of employees who don't really know how to help each other. When we say, like, we're a team, no one really knows what that means. And
Yeah.
it's going to perpetuate silos in engineering, which is already a problem, right? You don't want to be duplicating work. Like in data, especially, silos are a big issue. And things like this don't help because if you're not rewarding senior engineers for having camaraderie and mentoring and helping, and you're only looking at baseline metrics of tickets completed and features, put out the door, then you're in essence telling them that's all that matters. So spending any amount of time helping someone else is inherently a waste of time because it will hinder your growth in the company. And I don't know. I think that
Yeah.
there's going to come a point where we realize like we screwed up and then how do you recover?
If you lead teams in game or software development and you're tired of wasteful and unreliable estimation, I've built an online course just for you. It's called Advanced Estimation for Game and Software Development, and it's a self-paced course with over 15 hours of content, real-world examples, and tools you can start using right away. Estimation doesn't have to be a morale-draining mess. Planning doesn't have to feel unrealistic and contrived. You can do better, and this course will help. Early access is now open with lifetime access and a big launch discount, but there's limited seats at this price point. Check it out at this URL or in the show notes below.